I'm Glenn Weinzimmer, and let's corrupt politics. Amy Acton staff meeting with Ohio LGBTQ+ leaders backfires over trans rights. A campaign meeting organized by staff for Ohio Democratic gubernatorial candidate Dr. Amy Acton and state LGBTQ+ leaders turned hostile after transgender advocates were reportedly blocked and removed from the conversation. The Buckeye Flame notes that transgender Ohio State House candidate Arienne Childrey attempted to participate in the meeting via Zoom, but that Acton staff did not permit it because they were trying to have a, quote, productive conversation, end quote. Acton herself did not attend the meeting, which was intended as damage control following her controversial public remarks opposing transgender girls competing in school sports, a stance that prompted advocacy group Equality Ohio to downgrade her candidate rating from an A to pending. Attending advocates expressed intense frustration that the campaign sought dialogue while actively excluding trans community members directly impacted by state restrictions. Rather than soothing tensions, the meeting exasperated strain between Acton's platform and Progressive Party bases, including the Ohio Democratic Party Pride Caucus, which publicly pushed back by reaffirming, quote, trans girls are girls, end quote. For many progressive voters, the incident underscores a growing divide between mainstream campaign strategies and authentic community advocacy, highlighting that true solidarity requires listening to marginalized voices rather than shutting them out. This conversation just goes beyond even just this subject, where people that are marginalized or left out of the conversation to solve a problem where mediation works best when everyone is in the same room and open to the dialogue. The fact that she did this, Acton did this, and her staff did it, just says, I don't want to talk about it, as opposed to maybe clearing the air, defending her statement by explaining it maybe better and keeping her rating as A, but instead by acting out and saying you can't have a voice. You're not winning any more votes, and you've just actually been downgraded to, we don't know what to do with you.
We don't know what to do with you. This is a non-issue. Now, we've made it an issue. We made it a sticking point. It's a battleground thing. But no, the handful of people that we're even talking about, it does not impact very many, hardly any school systems at all. This is not an issue. This is a non-issue. But it is an old trick, an old game of attacking the most vulnerable that can't really do much about protecting themselves, stirring up a lot of angst and bullshit so that you don't have to defend your record, which may be terrible. You don't have to offer a plan, which maybe you don't have one.
Might have one.
But let's protect the kids from the 30 trans girls in the world, only 6 of whom are probably athletes, and because of hormone therapy and they have no advantage. So it's about hate. It's not about protecting anyone. It's about demonizing, demoralizing, dehumanizing trans people, and that's from the fascist playbook. We ought to be better than that. And so rather than just dealing with real issues and feeding hungry people and trying to have peace in Ukraine and the Middle East, and instead of all that, let's just beat up on the 1% of this country so that we don't have to really deal with
fear.
Yeah.
Because again, like you said, we did an article, like a segment about a week or two ago about the percentage of people that are in trans sports. I mean, it came to like 10 in college sports across the entire country. And it amounted to such a small percentage that it's one of those things that can be handled on a local level with your coach and your school and stuff like that.
If you think this girl is too strong, then deal with that one human.
Right, but don't categorize everyone under one umbrella when it isn't a universal thing.
And if we had the Trans Olympics, we could do it in this studio. I mean, really, we're talking about a zillion people.
And let's just say that if I was up for a sports thing and not being trans, they still wouldn't take me. And I'm out. So it's got nothing to do, it is individualized.
I would like to say that fear works.
All right.
I think there has been a successful tactic to demonize trans people, and now we're deviating from real issues.
Right.
And we have people who are now targets. And this bait has been great because it distracts voters from holding their leaders accountable, the people that they voted for, because whether it's on a state level or the US Congress, we should be able to criticize and hold accountable the people we put in power. And trans voices must be heard and trans lives must be protected.
Right.
They're no different from anyone else.
And I think to your point, it's this, especially with this administration, you're looking at fear and you're looking at ways that they can redirect your eyes at look at the shiny thing.
Yeah.
Look
as
over
opposed to
here.
talking about what's really happening. And the only way that we can defeat this monster that's found its ways into our local school systems and to our local politics is to get out and vote.
Yeah.
You know, and how do you get more people to vote? I mean, I had this conversation this weekend about especially youth, you know, and I look at Wilton Manors and conversations that I've had with people that are younger, much younger than me, and they just don't think it's important. They don't think it affects them. So how do you get them to vote? And the conversation I had while I was down at Island House was some of it is not, you can't go to Hunter's on a Sunday night and play an advertisement telling people they need to vote. Like, just ruins the vibe. You know, it's completely, it's like a downer. If you're just in the middle of sex, someone wants to talk about their mother. You know, all of a sudden, nobody's ready to play.
Right now.
So what do? You know, and the conversation was like, why can't we have a Hunter's or an Alibi or some of those places subliminally put into the music? You know, you must vote. We need to vote. Our vote matters. And just do it in a way that the conversation just will naturally lead to, after a couple of weeks, where, you know, I say, you know, I was thinking about voting. What do you guys think about it? Where there's nothing pushing it. RuPaul does it
at least once, maybe twice, has done recordings. Like, you could play a RuPaul song,
Right.
and get the message while you're, you know,
Exactly.
dancing or whatever.
But if you go local and you go to that age group, you know, they may not be watching RuPaul. You know, she has a following, but maybe to a lot of people that are of age.
That's what why do you hate me?
I'm not hating you, but I just think that there's
Why
a
you make
way
me feel
to have
old?
that conversation open. And while I was at our house, they even talked about, like, maybe we need to get a drink that's called Just Vote. You know, and come up with something that's glittery. He started experimenting during dinner. The owner ran over to the bar and started making a blue cocktail and stuff. Or he's like, should it be purple? Because we don't want to actually go political. Because we want to just push the Just Vote. Because a lot of people in Key West, and unfortunately, not unfortunately,
So no grenadine.
but a lot of our peers, I mean, there's still a strong enough percentage of LGBT, which I don't understand, that still support Trump and support the Republican Party when it comes to Trump. So you want to get everyone to vote, because those guys are probably voting anyway if they love him. So how do you get everyone else to just voice their opinion, and it can change our local and national politics?
Well, you have to meet people where they are, and you have to really be great with your messaging. I think that's the best way to meet the people where they are, is by engaging in politics in a way that teaches them and isn't preaching to them.
The sound
that's
bites,
basically
the
what I'm
one-liners,
going.
that's what MAGA's good at, though.
Yeah.
It may not be accurate information, but it's 4 words you'll always remember. I mean, they are good at that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's important, because if we don't do that, because setting up a table out in front of any of the bars in Wilton Manors is going to get everyone who you want to vote to just walk past you and flip you off, basically.
But
Because
we do have to address voter apathy. I think there's a way of engaging the people where they are, talking to people who aren't even registered, and talking to people who maybe don't even understand the system. I think there's a lack of understanding civics, period.
Yeah.
Right.
And
But
it's people are having their Medicare and their Medicaid and their Social Security threatened and their SNAP benefits. I think that just people are going to feel affected, whether it's their mother or their grandmother or themselves or their kids. So maybe just the dystopian world we're living in will drive people to the polls. I certainly hope so.
Yeah, but you want to, I could be wrong on the percentages, but I just feel like we need to get the youth vote out there, because again, they don't want to be lectured to.
No.
They don't want you to hand them something they're going to throw away, but you got to get a way to get them to subliminally have that conversation without them realizing that it's something that's important. And repetition is some of the best ways to do that.
We should put something in the poppers. Now, see, that shows how old I am. Are poppers even still a thing?
Yes,
but,
I just bought them last week.
Oh, but see, we're of an age, aren't we? So, all right, there's no other, obviously, queer nonprofit media platform like this in the entire world. Support our LGBTQ stories by sharing them and subscribing to Queer News Tonight.